Starting now. All right, welcome to the Awarding RFX webinar. Today we're going to be briefly going over, if I can get my, there we go. We're going to be talking about the project counts we've seen today and how we're doing in CalUSource since we launched it in January. And then we're going to talk about how you reviewing your project, and then when is that pivotal moment about closing out your project? And that means awarding it, sending out the non-awards, mark as complete. When are good times to use one of those three options? And then we'll wrap it up with questions. So with further ado, I'm going to exit out of this PowerPoint, and I'm going to take you directly to our live production site, where I'm going to, for those of you who haven't had a chance to go into the Analyze function, I highly encourage it. There's a lot of good information there besides the spend data, specifically on projects and contracts. But I'm going to go into the sourcing dashboard. And it's going to take a second because we are leveraging quite a bit of bandwidth today. And as you can see, we have 81 active events in the tool today. And they're spread out through the various categories. But what I really want to pay attention to is right here, and this is sourcing events by status. Now we can ignore draft because this is people either still building their RFPs or playing in the tool. But I really wanted to focus on is we have 81 total, but if you hover over this awarding section, we have 47. So that's over half of the projects that we've put into the tool haven't been closed out yet. And so for reporting purposes and to really put the stamp on closing out our project, we really need to close them and award them through the tool. And it's a very simple process that I want to walk through you. For those of you who remember through training, I was very gung-ho about it being 4 steps, so we're going to go through that in a little bit more detail today. Now, as I promised in the agenda, when do we know it's time to award? So as you can see, I have a very competitive bid over here. So my RFP for Warrior Swag for the UC and CSU Bay Area campuses. So this was a cross collaboration between some of our NorCal campuses. And what I want to point out is if we were to go to our response workbench, and we kind of get a good sense of what happened. So we invited our 3 suppliers who are listed below, the Splash Brothers. If I actually extend this out, you can see their names. Splash Brothers Memorabilia, Draymond Sweep Sweepers, and Swaggy P shirts. So if you're not a Warriors fan and you don't know what that means, I'm so sorry. But to all my Warriors fans, you're welcome. As you can see in here, I have 5 evaluators who went through and responded. We didn't get a chance to go over this in training as much as I wanted to, but I really wanted to show you what happens and one of the benefits of scoring through the tool. Now I'm just going to go to my scorecard over here. And these were scorecards that I put together previously. And because I scored through the tools, this area, which we've always known to be blank, is now filled in with their scores. Now remember, it was 0 through 4, so I get an idea of how they're going to do. Now this is the default scorecard, which was our 50-50 breakdown. We did not have a questionnaire in this RFP. We purely just a price sheet. And it was 50% of the total score. So as you can see, Splash Brothers Memorabilia did a great job, and they're kind of leading the pack. Sorry, Swaggy P. So I created another price sheet just to show you kind of the difference, what happens when you're playing with these percentages in the tool. Now this is a price sheet only scorecard. So I click on this, and what you're going to see is the questionnaire now has 0%. The price sheet has 100%, and those scores change dramatically. This went up almost 0.4 points. So there are some things to take into consideration. And it also changed because I went through, and if I look at my price sheet, I changed the scores here. So on my price sheet, my hats weighed more than my shirts. My shirts and hats were a bulk of it, but we threw in jerseys to see if they could be competitive. Now, just clearly wanted to go through that aspect. I'm going to hit cancel to go back out. And as you can see in this RFP, based on my scores, Splash Brothers is going to be my winner based on the scores that were done. So now that I know who my winner is going to be and I don't need to go through any further negotiations, I'm going to close out of my scorecards. And I'm going to go up to my action items, which is this 3 dots in my top right-hand corner. I'm going to click on that. And you're going to notice it has award event and non-award suppliers. So I can do one or the other or both if I wanted to. The other thing I wanted to talk about was this mark as complete. And we'll get to that a little bit later, but this is a great option if you are doing a multi-phase project. And I'll talk about that a little bit further down the road, but I really want to talk about award event and non-award. So in this case, we know who we want to award. So I'm going to award event. And as you can see, my 3 suppliers have popped up right here. No status. And again, those 4 simple clicks. So Splash Brothers Memorabilia is my first one I wanted to award. I select him. And I'm going to go to award supplier. Once I hit award supplier, I can go down to the reasoning and I can pick which one I want. I'm going to go with other because none of these applied to what I was doing. So I'm just going to go other, and I'm going to go to comments. Now in my comments section, I could be had better quality product and lowest cost. So we can make any comment in here. And this is a good opportunity for those who are looking to track, or if they need to justify why they went a certain direction, you can put your comments in here. This is an excellent place to come and do it. So then I'm going to hit done. Now, there are those various projects where we might have to do a scorecard outside of the tool. This usually happens a lot with professional service projects where you're adding a presentation scores, or in some cases your bid is a lot bigger and some of it's outside, some of it's inside. For those of you who want your award justifications attached to this project, so your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your scorecards, you can do an attachment right here. You click attachment. I'm just going to find whatever. I'm just going to click this and just add it in. Not sure what that is. And I'm going to attach it. Now, the reason I'm doing this is now I have a track record of why I went the direction I went. Now, you don't have to search through the projects anymore. If there's a PRA request, all they need to see is right here. Your comments, your reasonings, and 1 or 2 attachments, if even that. Just because you have the information doesn't mean you always have to provide the information. So we're going to go down this route, and now I'm going to hit done. Now, one of the nice features that we now have within the tool is, are you sure you want to award the event? Yes, I do. But what we didn't have before back in January when we went through this training was this option to notify suppliers by email. Now, this came up quite a few times, is not everybody was comfortable with the language that CalUSource had. And we are in the process of getting that approved by both the UC and the CSU legal teams. And we have a draft and it's going to GEP. We're going to get it uploaded soon. But if you wanted to just award it and just close it out, but not send a notification through the tool, you could unclick this and that will award your project without notifying anybody. A simple way of closing it out. You have the ability to draft up your communication and send it via email if that's what you want to do. Now, the other option you can do is that you can actually leave this alone, hit yes, and a pop-up box will show up right here. And then what you can do is you can just fill in the information, or at least see what it says. You can put your own information. If you wanted to, you have the ability to go to whatever template you have for award or non-award and put it in here. You just, one of these numbers, delete, and enter whatever information deems necessary. I can't spell appropriate today, so it's going to be deems correct. And you'll have the ability, and you can hit send that way. If you accidentally did this and you're like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore, just click outside. It'll go away. So that's how you can do the award. So I'm actually going to award this, and I'm going to hit not notify suppliers just because, and I'm going to hit yes. And I've now awarded this event. And what I really want to point out is right here, Splash Brothers, they are awarded, the date, who updated, and one of the nice things is I can go here, I can look at the award details. I can revoke it if necessary. Let's say they didn't fulfill all the needs of their contract. I could, and then if I decided later, I can send them an award. But right here, the award details. here's that comment I left, and here's that attachment for all PRA requests that are coming down the line. Now I'm going to take a moment and open it up for questions, just because I know I went through a lot of information in 4 very short clicks. So Bara, if you can let me know if anyone has any questions, and I will get those answered.
Sure. Excuse me. One question is from Megan Torres. She says, if scoring is 0 to 4, how do we get percentages like 2.45, etc.?
Mute yours. That is a great question. Oh, sorry, we're having a little bit of an echo. That is a great question. So essentially, when you're doing a 0 through 4, I understand it's a little hard to do the math. Essentially, we're looking at 5 numbers. So if you wanted to do a percent, you would take that, let's say, I think Splash Brothers got 2.45. You would just divide that over 5, and that would give you your percentage. So it's just the total number over the average score. So hopefully that answers your question for that one.
Okay, and then a question, when you click on the awarded supplier, does it send an intent to award notice to the awarded supplier?
Thank you. You can wanted to, or you can send it through your email. It's whatever you're most comfortable with. So remember when I mentioned send award email. So if we were to click on this, you could put your intent to award in here. This is clear, where a good opportunity for you to include that information. The document and the draft we're working with the various campuses legal teams is going to be an intent to award, not a full-blown award letter. So in my mind, the award letter is when the contract's signed, and that's how most procurement folks look at it. So this is just like, we're planning on moving forward with you pending final negotiations on the contract. So again, you could put this here, what's going to be embedded in this. And remember, you could always delete this and then put whatever your legal approved language is in there, or you can send it via email. It's up to you on how you want to do that. All right, so it looks like those are our only 2 questions. All right, so now we've awarded our supplier. So how do we send notification to the guys who didn't win? So again, I'm going to just head back out of the event, go back up to that fabulous action icon that we're becoming so accustomed to, and I'm going to go to non-award suppliers. And that's going to be, as you can see, I only have 2 left. And hopefully everyone likes you have to be a Warriors fan to understand the Nick Young, Nick Old, Draymond Green, Draymond Blue. So these are the 2 suppliers who are left who did not get an award. So I would just click on both of their names, hit non-award supplier, and are you sure you want to, and then this confirmation will pop up. Again, very similar to award, I could choose to email that, send them an email, or I could do it via my own personal email. I do want to call out, if you are looking to do 2 events, or you're going to send this notification to more than 1 person, and you hit yes, I want to call out this box right here, high supplier name. This is a variable, very similar to what was in contracts. This changes pending the data that's already in the tool. So when this email sends, hi supplier name is going to be hi Nick Old or hi Draymond Blue. It's going to change pending the recipient. So if you want to go through this route where you're saying, putting some personal touches to it, or you're calling out individual people, make sure this variable stays there. And that's what these are. If it's in a bracket, it is a variable. So just make sure you're being cautious of that and you're not calling anyone's name out in an email that goes out to the masses. So the draft communication that we've put together does not call people out, but just I want to make everyone wary of that. We have seen some instances where people have deleted this and put an actual supplier's name, and that message went out to everybody. So just calling it out, anything in a bracket is a variable. It auto-populates with something. So once I have Swaggy P and Draymond Sweep Sweepers, non-award, Go through it. I'm not going to notify. I hit yes. I get some additional information back. When they got the non-award letter on, the email was sent. Because we did not send an email, this is blank, but we could always go back and send that email if you wanted to. If you wanted to keep track of this and have it all located in one spot, you could send non-award email, copy and paste what you in there, and it'll just go to Draymond Sweeper. And this one will go just to Nick Young. That's if you wanted to do it through the tool. But one of the nice things, again, because we do get audited on this stuff, when did we decide it was non-award, and when were they notified, just in case anything comes up. And again, it's been non-awarded. So again, very simple, just a couple clicks. Didn't have to send any emails through the tool. So if you're comfortable or uncomfortable sending a notification through the tool, you have the option of doing it through your own personal email. But I highly encourage doing it through the inbox or through the application, because it's going to track it and it's going to cover you in the future if a PRA comes up. Now, are there any questions about non-awards? Give everyone a second to type. Okay, I'm going to move on then. So we talked about awarding an event. We talked about the non-award letters that go out to the suppliers. Now, again, that's towards the end of a project. What happens when you're working on a multi-phase project where you just want to mark it as complete, or you just need to kind of, no one was awarded. It's phased out. Now, this has come up a couple times, and how can we do multi-phase through the tool? And the best way of doing this is obviously as you're building out your strategy, your phase one is where you make it a public, you get the normal request for information, all that fun stuff, and then you start down selecting your suppliers. Now, let's say we've gone through our phase one, or we just want to close out a project, no award letters being sent. We would go here to mark as complete. Now, when I click on mark as complete, it's just telling the tool that this is done. It's either been awarded, or we're moved past it, or nothing's happened. So if I hit mark as complete, it just asks, again, a confirmation. Are you sure you want to mark this event as done, as complete? It's over. And you hit yes. And once you have hit yes, your project's finished and you can close it out, and it will move from the awarding phase to either mark as complete or as awarded. Now, as you can see, I've done these in any particular order, so don't feel like you have to go in those steps. You can do them. You can do a variation of it. Now, I see there's a note in the chat box. Let me read this one out real quick. Hold on. I'm going to get back to him individually on this one. One of the questions I see in the chat box is, does it allow for a comment at that point? Let me close this. If we were to hit yes, yes, we can make a comment. So if you were doing a multi-phase, phase one complete, moving to phase two, and you can attach any documentation that you put in there. I'm going to throw something random again so we can do our, there it is, made my comment, added some documentation for the audit trail. I'm going to hit close, hit done. I can't come back now. There's no need to send a notification, but I'll get that fixed. And so once we've marked it as complete, that notification, I digress, goes to the supplier community, letting them know that this project's been done. But I do want to call out, where is it? This audit log. I keep talking about you can go back, you can go back, you can go back. And when I say that, I awarded this project today. The event status has been updated, event complete. If I hit on the comment section, again, there's my comment, there's my attachment. So there's always a trail of what you were doing and why you were doing your project a certain way, and you could link them. So phase one complete, moving to phase two. maybe this is a situation, I'm down selecting suppliers. Like I invited 30, I only want to move forward with 10, and then I'm going to do another RFP and additional negotiations with the pricing through phase 2. So you have the capability of doing that and keeping track of it. It doesn't always have to be in the same project. So if you had the foresight to create all phases of it, you could make this phase 1 complete, moving to phase 2, project number or project name, insert to kind of help guide the person. But again, it's there. It was in that audit log, very similar to what we have with contracts. And then you can track everything. When your scores were submitted, team members were submitted, everything is listed here as we go down. So with that being said, very simple. Again, I just want to talk about we have 47 projects that are in the tool that are in the awarding phase. I assume half of those are going through negotiation still, and the other half are truly complete. Let's close those projects out. It's truly a simple 4-step process. And with that being said, if there are any follow-up questions for me, now's the time to ask, and I will partner with Bara on getting those out to you guys. Oh. I will get back to him on that. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to pass it over to Bara with any final comments.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for attending. And if you have any last minute questions, you can unmute yourself and ask them verbally. Otherwise, we will wrap this up, and this webinar will be posted on the website very soon, sometime usually in the next 2 to 3 days. And then also you'll receive a link to access the recording in the next CaluSource newsletter. So thank you so much for attending. And then there will be a new contracts webinar at the beginning of July, the first Monday in July. And then we'll follow up with another one on the third Monday in July with sourcing with Sarah again. So thank you so much.